We're live.
So we're live?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another release meeting. Today we have myself, Gibson Farnstock, Michael Dawson, and Miles Borens. And the main theme of today's meeting is Semver minor backports for the upcoming 8 and 6 releases. So first item on the agenda is the V8 update in Node V8X, updating V8 to 6.2, which is Node pull request 16413. So I feel like Miles and myself have both commented on the issue. Well, we've all commented on the issue. Any thoughts? Any reason not to land this, I guess?
So it's
V8.
I'm just trying to remember the latest state. As I understand it, it's basically ABI compatible and passing on all of our platforms at this point, right?
Yep. And it's been in 9 since 9.0, so it's been in 9.4. How long that is? Like, it's had a good few months in the wild. Obviously not in Node 8, but V8 should be okay. And yeah, we should be confident in the compatibility.
Right. And have we had any sort of things happen in 9 that were related to it versus?
Not any more or any less than you do when there's problems in the VM, and all the patches that have landed in 9 are sitting in that pull request.
Yeah.
So I guess in the context of the question is like, is it more than we've seen in 8, or is it the same, or just getting a feel?
It has not felt like anything particularly problematic as far as I can tell.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there've been a couple, but then there've been a couple that got backported back into 8 and sometimes even 6.
One thing that's good to keep in mind is that if we update to 6.2, and when we eventually land dynamic import into 9.x, which there's a backport PR open for it, we're figuring out how to make that ABI compatible. If we can do that, then this does open the door to getting dynamic import backported to 8.x, which can keep the module implementation more in line. Is an extra benefit.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any objection. I like you, I haven't heard anybody complaining about it there, and it's been there long enough that it's probably safe.
To be honest, I would love to see if there's a way for us to continually be upgrading V8 through the LTS process. There's been discussions with the V8 team to see if we can minimize the breakages of ABIs, and they recently increased the size of memory that's allocated for certain ABI stuff to make it less likely that ABIs will break in between versions. So maybe the ship is passed for 8, but maybe for 10 we can try to work with the V8 team and try to figure out how we can keep more of a rolling update of V8 going on, because I really don't see many negatives to keeping a more better version of V8 in the engine.
I guess from my perspective, I think there's a point where we want to slow down. The 6 months before it's about to go end of life, I don't see much point.
Oh yeah, just during the maintenance period at all. Like any other commits, once we hit the maintenance mode, I wouldn't consider actively updating anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as we're in active LTS, I see no reason why we shouldn't be actively updating the VM.
Yeah, so that what I could see that being is something like every, and you wouldn't. I think in terms of the risk side, I'd be concerned if we were doing it like every month. But if it was like
it would be every minor, right? And I think we're moving towards a minor every, is it 3 months, 4 months?
Like once a quarter.
Right. Yeah. So if we made it safe enough, I guess I could see maybe twice or something in the first year, which isn't far off of what you're saying already. So
it'd be interesting also, does that mean the V8 team are going to be reconsidering? Because obviously the isn't really a major, right? It's just when enough stuff's gone in. Is there an option to maybe change the frequency of those. So like after a node release, you know, you have a bit more of a stable period or less, and patches and things going in, which would obviously be then safer for us to put in.
We have no guarantee. But I think that if we work more closely with them, there's ways that we could make sure. There's a couple different things we could do. One would be like tooling to help figure out what the ABI differences are, tooling to help test the ABI differences, as well as just like they can make some engineering decisions which minimize, you know, the potential breakages. So, you know, there's no explicit contract right now from them saying we won't do anything, but I think that being intentional can offer us more of an upgrade path.
Yeah,
it's always good to have
our
options open. So,
yep, cool. Okay, well, in that case, I think we can say we have no objections to this. And it's definitely been sitting for long enough that I think if there were strong objections, they would have been made. So I'm going to comment in there saying that we were all okay with it. I'm going to land it, but people have, well, at least a week to disagree, voice opinions, you know.
Yeah.
Let us know. And then we should move on to...
And there's no -1s in there as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Okay. I'll do that, and let's move on to some of the minors. So if we're going through the 6.x list, the first one is by Zadalax, I want to say. HTTP add vol packet in error of client error event. 17617.
This list.
Want to go from the bottom?
This list. We want to start from the bottom, and this has not been fully audited yet. I did a partial audit before I got sick, but I've not gone through and made sure that all of these are relevant. So we're gonna have to quickly, you know, like take a peek if they're even relevant for the branch.
Okay. So the bottom one then is adding the formatting specifiers to %i and %f, which is 10308.
Sorry, I'm just looking. I had the issue open, but somehow I closed it. So
Miles put the GIFs in the chat.
Yeah.
The gists, if you're looking for them.
Okay. Are we starting with the 6 or the 8? Sorry.
With the 6.
The 6.
Yep. Okay. Got it. I'm at the bottom now. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
This seems like something that would be reasonable.
Yeah. Wow. So it's been open for a year. Landed 10 months ago.
And there's no...
And just adds a couple of extra APIs to console. Okay. Sorry, util.format.
So one thing that I think is good to think about while we're going through this, any of the things that we agree to here today that land in 6, when 4 goes end of life in just a couple months, it means that these features will be consistent in all active branches.
Right. Yeah. So that's a plus.
So I'm positive on this one landing.
Yeah, I have no problem.
So the only question is says there's a breaking change with a %d specifier.
Where does it say that?
Which will no longer in the description, but I'm wondering if it actually landed.
Because that shouldn't be Semver minor, right?
Oh no, it's been backed out. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. James asked the same question. Fair enough. So there are no breaking changes, I think. Let's read the PR history. Yeah, it didn't change. Okay. Yeah, so I'm +1. It seems like a pretty straightforward one. Sounds like no objections, so should we move on? I'll do the leaving notes in them if you want.
That landed cleanly.
So the next one is crypto add random fill and random fill sync. Is this the one that Evan said he wanted backported?
Don't.
Check. I think it's not, but
Evan requested one from the process object.
oh yeah.
One's been around since 7.x. Doesn't seem to have major issues. I'm +1 on it myself.
Yeah, it seems quite self-contained. Actually, having said that, I guess not. But yep, seems like a separate API, not a particular issue.
That one did not land cleanly. The breakage is in a test. Michael, you were going to say?
That's what I was going to ask about. Is like, is there a PR for it already, or is it something somebody's going to have to put some work in to make it land?
I can make this work already.
And that's on 6, right? So 8 should be.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, it's working.
Cool. Yep, I'm +1.
I'm okay.
Sounds like Mars as well. So comment, done. Move on. Right. Process, add optional detail to process submit warning.
Oh, by the way, Gibson, these last two are already on 8.x.
Yep. Okay, good to know.
This one,
if you're there, feel free to edit my comment.
12725.
12725.
Yeah, it already says that it needs a manual backport.
Okay. Well, I guess we should decide if we are willing for it to be backported separately from, like, whether or not it actually gets backported.
Yeah, it's just there's already some discussion that basically said maybe backported if there's something else that requires the backport.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm good with letting it continue to sit. Especially since it needs a manual back.
Yeah, if someone wants to backport it, then fine, otherwise.
Agreed.
Cool.
Async
next
implementation. This one's a big one. Andreas Madsen commented that he was interested in seeing this in the thread.
Yep.
And that's for the async hooks for 8.x. Maybe we can ask them. Seems like it would be a pretty huge undertaking to get this on 6. I'll ping him in that thread to make sure to just confirm that he was talking about 8.x, not 6.x.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'd be, because anything for 6, I'd kind of be tempted to figure, like, do that if and when we figure we're done on 8.
That makes sense.
And it's not going to change anymore, right? Because like you said, it's probably a fair amount of effort. There might be a good enough reason to try and get back to 6, but only once as opposed to continually.
Yeah. I kind of feel like if someone's willing to do all the work to backport it and they care that much, then fine.
Yeah, and as long as it's something that only affects it if you turn it on.
Yeah. So Mars, you pinged Andreas,
Yeah,
right?
I wrote into the meta thread and just asked Andreas about that.
Cool. Sounds good. In that case, we can skip all the 128921s, which puts us on stream fix high watermark integer overflow by Tobias 12593.
Now, one of the ones that was requested by Matteo.
I don't think so. I think his were all by Calvin Metcalf, but I could be wrong.
You're right. It's not one of those. So this one,
Looks pretty small.
So the only thing though that I would say is if you look at the bug that it fixes the output it changes what the output is of certain error cases to be more accurate. And I think that if no one has requested this for 6, that actually could cause things to weirdly break, as opposed to we don't need to be more correct if this is what people are expecting.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I agree. And it was in 8. It's already in 8. So yep, sounds good. I'll put a don't land on then.
CMD support dash as std alias. This one seems useful to me. It lands cleanly. But it's about using the dash after node as an alias to make sure that you can add options for certain edge cases that it wouldn't have worked before.
So I guess the question is, could you have had working code that now does this? That you know, what was the behavior before? Would it just fail?
Yeah, I think the behavior before is that it would just fail. And it's possible that since this works on 8 now, that you will get examples online using this that would not work on 6, that would work on other versions. So this seems like, from a consistency standpoint, like a good one.
Yep.
And it's been there for a while.
Doesn't sound like it's... Yeah, no one's complained.
Looking, it does have a lot of conflicts, though.
I feel like for these, we can just say we don't. I mean, we don't. It's not a big deal if it's not backported, but if someone would like to raise a PR,
yeah, that
BIS
works for me.
Yeah, me too.
I think now this string is one of the ones that Matteo was asking for.
Final method, yeah.
Yay, 513D1. No, this is not one of the ones he was asking for. So this one's add final method. Feel like we should just ask Matteo. That's kind of my gut.
Same.
Does it land?
All these streams.
Give me 1 second. I'll check.
Because it might be, if you're going to ask him, it might be also good to say, if you say yes, it'll land, or if you say yes, you'll need to.
Does not land cleanly. Yeah, there's quite a few conflicts, so we'll need a manual backport.
Fair enough. So Miles, do you want to comment and say, CC Mateo, do you want to, this needs a backport. If it goes back, does it need to?
On it.
So next one is HTTP destroy sockets after keep alive timeout.
I think there's some discussion on there whether it's semver minor or semver major.
So it looks like there's a bunch of pull requests that reference this, including ones that look to be like bugs or changes in behavior. No one's requested this.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with no.
That was where I was leaning to. Like there was enough discussion over whether it was going to affect people or not.
Yep.
That it's probably best to just say, unless there's a poll, let's leave it out.
Yeah, because like,
yep.
when it was
cool. So I'll comment saying yeah.
There was no pushing about having it on 6.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'll comment. Next one is Anna's stream support uint array input to methods.
This is also not one of the ones that Mateo asked for. Doesn't appear to have broken anything.
Yeah.
In terms of landing cleanly.
So is the benefit performance, or because the discussion seems to be mostly about performance gains? Yeah, it seems reasonable. If assuming the streams team are okay with it.
See if it lands.
I guess it probably needs a performance test to make sure that it's not a particular aggression, maybe.
So it does not land cleanly. And it's a non-consequential diff.
Right.
So I'll add that one to the list of streams ones.
Ask Mateos.
Yeah, do you want
Yep. Sounds good. Next one is bind to random port with inspect 0. One of Ben's. This is something I have been annoyed by it not being there, if that makes sense.
because it's tried to reuse the same port and failed?
Yeah,
and
especially when you start using node options to set the inspector, then if it spawns a child process, it has to be on a different port. As I understand, this is the way, this is the only easy way to do it.
So did it not accept =0 before?
As I understand it, no.
Okay, so basically you had to give it a port.
This does not land cleanly, and it's going to be, there's even like just straight up missing files. The inspector is quite different between 6 and 8. I'm going to err towards no.
Right.
Even though it would be nice, and 6 is going to be maintenance soon, and it's a convenience method. I think that it is a good reason for people to upgrade.
It's landed in 8 already?
Yeah. So everything that we're reviewing now are like
okay,
quite a while.
Okay, so that list is sorry. The 6 list is not a superset. It's basically
Well, it's a superset of the 8 list, so instead of vice versa. So yeah, this landed in 8.1.
Okay.
So yeah, because the inspector in 6 is like far behind the inspector in 8 by quite a bit. So this would revolve quite a bit of work. And yeah, so my vote is to pass.
Fair enough. So actually, this says debug. Does this actually change the inspector? Or is this just
8 doesn't have the debugger anymore, remember, because we deprecated it, so it's only the inspector. It's also possible that this has to do with the new CLI inspector, which isn't in 6, which is like another like there's so many different edge cases here of why it's going to get weird quickly.
Yeah, fair enough. It's two different. Oh, actually, the commit was called inspect equals 0, inspect break equals 0. Okay, it went into 8.1. Yeah, I see the argument for it's two different. Ooh, okay, I'll note that. I think we have agreement, and we're on to 13089.
This is the zlib one.
Yep.
It extends the options that you can use for zlib. This doesn't seem to have anything that broke with it. My gut is if it lands, we should move forward with it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It seems quite small change, localized.
This has a pretty extensive diff for the conflict.
Oh, so it doesn't land cleanly?
No, not at all. I would say we can maybe ping Anna and ask if she wants to backport this one, that we would. But I think that these two come together. There's the one after it, exposed amount of data read for engines. I'm going to kind of also err on the side of like, for these kinds of things, which are like conveniences, they're not landing cleanly and no one's requested them, that we just don't do it.
Yeah, I'm like, unless somebody, if it doesn't land cleanly, it's going to take work. Unless somebody's saying, I want this, or we think it's important for some reason, I'm 100% agreed with that.
Okay, cool. So then we can skip the next zlib one as well. And that brings us to stream support, readable, writable, WM. Duplex streams, this may be, let's see. If this is the one, C3. This is also not one of the ones that Mateo has asked for. This seems useful though. Readable, writable, high watermark. Being able to set that.
Does it land cleanly?
Probably not. But it does land cleanly. It was a nice surprise. I'll add this to the list that we're asking Mateo about.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that one also compiles. So
I guess that's important too.
yeah, yeah, it lands but doesn't compile. Surprisingly, can catch you by surprise.
Yeah.
This one, OS, adds CIDR support. This patch adds support for CIDR notation in the output of network interfaces. Fixes a bug. That bug was opened in June of 2017. This PR did not really have, any backlash or any problems after it landed. Does not land cleanly. Diff. Yeah, this is going to be annoying to backport. So I say we just skip it.
Sounds reasonable.
Nobody's been asking for that in the meantime, I assume.
Not that I know. Like, there's no references to it.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, most people don't make requests, and maybe something that we can do in the future that can make this process better is something along the lines of what I did, but I don't know if I gave enough time, which is just like float all the miners, make an issue, and just ask people to make requests for the ones that they care about and don't even bother doing this audit. I kind of have mixed feelings on it. It's kind of similar to like when we started doing LTS in general. At first, James and I were like only landing things that people requested, but then eventually we realized no one was requesting anything. So if we only did that, we would never backport anything. So I started this process of auditing, and it's kind of similar with the Semver miners. But maybe with the miners, that's okay. So maybe we should just be doing earlier solicitation from the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting some feedback, like, yeah, I guess you don't have to do one or the other. You could say, tell us which ones you want. If the answer is none, then when we get to this list, we can just say, well, nobody cared, so it doesn't land, so no, right? Or, yes, this one's still really important and useful, so let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
I definitely think it's good data, though. If like nobody's actually asking for it, then it makes it an easy decision to just say, well, there's lots of work. If nobody stood up, then it's probably going to be hard to get people to do that work anyway.
Yep.
This one, I think we should pass on the DNS one. When true results from the DNS resolver are passed on as is without the reshuffling that Node does otherwise. In 6, if this option is set, it's going to be a no op right now, which means that if people are running code that has this option right now, it would no op. But if we land this, then it could actually change the behavior.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. So that's a skip.
Yeah.
Yep, cool. I'll note.
The next one we can skip for right now, HTTP override keep alive behavior for agent. I'm going to actually ping Fedora right now to just remind him about this, because we actually approved this, but we got backported, I think, to 4, but not 6.
Do we have tags people can tag to say backport requested?
Yeah, we have a backport requested tag.
Okay.
We should probably add it to that one. I'll do that right now.
I'm just thinking of ways we can like sort of ongoing let people know, hey, you've done this, and if you want a backport, tag it with this one.
Yeah, so we have the backport requested tag and the backported tag, and we use those for keeping track of backports. It actually like has been something that we use a lot on even like our current release line now. Like basically anytime that something doesn't land.
Right.
So just for the sake of time, it's 4:45. I can keep going to get through this, but how are you both for time? Are you time boxed on this?
I'm okay.
I want to get through this. Yep. Okay. I mean, we need to do this at some point. Like, it seems to be working quite well. Let's just keep going. So lib return this from net socket end.
Oh wait. So turn socket then end. Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm just opening. I'm a big fan of backporting these ones if they land cleanly, any of the ones that return this, because that's the kind of code this is going to break. That lands cleanly.
Yeah, and it seems very unlikely someone will be like asserting that there was no return code or something.
Right.
So
yeah.
There's not an obvious breakage.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing where someone's going to write code in NPM
Yep.
chain and then just blow up.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That landed cleanly. Just running the test suite right now. Next one, fs expose stats times as numbers. So it looks like this was discussed in the past. Sam was saying that adding fields to the object could confuse people, but for continuity, it could be good. Refax said that he would backport it because it didn't land cleanly back in September, but I don't see that open. I'd say maybe ping this issue and see if people still want to backport it, but if nothing happens, just leave it.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
DNS add resolve any support. See that Ben Nordhaus was talking about potential coverage issues. That makes me kind of nervous. I would say this is one of those things that if people haven't requested it, I'm good with.
Yeah, it doesn't look particularly risky in that it's just adding something, but
I think the difference though is that this is adding C++ code. It's not just JS. Or is it? That's weird.
not a lot. Like it seems to me it's adding.
No, it adds 900 lines to CARES wrap.
Okay, where's that? Oh, it's just not being shown. It's not being expanded. Yeah, okay. So forget that. Yeah, that doesn't. So yeah, in that case, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm -1 on adding 1,000 lines.
Yep. Agreed. I hate the way it doesn't show you the big ones because then I miss them.
Yeah, the one that really matters.
Else looks fine. Make optional and immutable.
I don't like the word immutable.
No, that was my gut reaction too. Like you're basically changing something so that could break people's code.
Yeah, let's move on. There's no requests for it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Huh. This is an interesting one. It adds more information to an econ reset error. It doesn't seem to change the error itself, but in theory, changing error messages if people are looking at the error message, we generally treat as semver major.
Yeah, because today, if you want to tell what the message was, the only thing you can do is parse the string. So if it actually changes the string.
So yeah. Then you can see people doing a full match.
So yeah, I'm good with not doing that. If people want better error messages on this, they can upgrade.
No, we're not going to backport them all, right? So
yeah,
I don't think one on its own makes sense. If we were going to go back and say let's do them all, then it might be a different answer. But no.
Next one is return this from destroy. Excuse me. This one does not land cleanly. Oh, okay, because writable.destroy landed in 8. Oh, that was one of the ones we were just looking at, wasn't it?
We did look at just another returns this.
No, but this returns this was to return this from destroy, which is one of the other ones that we just asked Mateo about. So I'll add it to the Mateo list.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
I think it was it 12.8? One of the last ones that we looked at was adding destroy. Return this from get connections on net. If that lands cleanly, I'm
Yep. +1.
not land cleanly. Yeah, I say just don't move forward with this one. It's weird in the way in which the diff is.
Oh, really? It's like a 4-line diff.
Yeah, all 4 lines are different.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, with that in mind, let me take a look really quickly. Maybe.
Well, this might be a good one to just ping Sam and say, like, it should be a really simple backport if he wants to, but if he doesn't, it's not going to break. It's not going to upset anyone to not have it.
Let me take a look really quickly.
Sure.
So was there a big push at some point to just, instead of returning null, return?
Oh, I see what's happened. Okay, I got it to land.
So I was just wondering, like, the returning this versus nothing. I see Mateo asked the same question. Is it just so for my benefit? Is there a reason why we did a whole bunch of them?
I think it's just that people were not thinking about returning this when they created these certain APIs. And so when we have these APIs that just don't return this, then you can't chain them.
I see. So it's about, okay, so get connections. You could then say, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, makes sense to me.
So that does now land, does it?
Yeah, I landed it. Oh yeah, actually, quickly, while everyone's on the line, we do have Timothy Goo's backport of the What Working Group URL.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
CI was green as far as I could tell. We'll run CI again before doing it, but I'm a huge +1 on this. Do any of you have any concerns with landing it?
It's additive, right?
Yeah, just a new API.
Right, and the argument is then people can use that in older versions.
Exactly.
Yeah, seems like we won't really be breaking anybody, and if we've got the backport, and
yep,
they were theoretically unbreaking people.
Yeah, we're unbreaking them. Yeah, so yep, seems like a good
+1.
Cool. I'll comment in that issue.
Okay.
I'll take care of landing it. Excuse me. And actually, maybe something that we can do really quickly after this round is I think there are a couple of open backports that are sem reminders that we can look at quickly.
Makes sense.
But right now we're on buffer, add constants with max buffer and string length.
Yes.
I'm not really seeing why this needs to land. It seemed like there was like, I won't say contention, but people were not even sure it needed to land when it landed. Add buffer constants containing length limits for buffer and string instances. Okay, never mind. So this adds dot constants to buffer.
And if it's, I think the argument would be is you can use them earlier than later, right?
this get rid of buffer.k max length though?
Okay,
Surely not.
because that would be
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so k max length is there, but if you do buffer.constants, you get max length and max string length. That seems useful, actually.
Yeah, and it means you don't have to say if 6, then check kmax length else.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have the separate path. Yep.
Yeah, if it's just additive, you can now use it earlier, and it seems low risk. So
Yeah, the only conflict is in the doc.
Right.
Quite a bit of conflicts within the doc. But, I mean, in theory, I could land this and just not land the doc change.
you could put out I mean, I don't know if that's the kind of call you could put out and say, hey, this can land if somebody can fix up the doc, because it's something that, somebody else could contribute and do.
Yeah, and I mean, the doc is it is a self-contained-ish. It looks like it wouldn't be too hard to do it manually, so.
Just takes work. So calling somebody to do,
Yep.
a call out for somebody in the community to do that seems reasonable.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. I've tossed that into the release thread.
Okay. So we're now on DNS, make DNS set servers support customized port. Or have I gone wrong?
Buffer support box strings into primitive.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's hard to, it's such a long list.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep the spot. Sorry.
Add support for buffer.from new string and buffer from symbol to primitive. I'll see if this lands. Does not. It's pretty, yeah, like buffer's kind of all over the place. I say we pass on this for right now.
Yep.
Yeah, if it doesn't land.
DNS make DNS set server support customized port.
Yeah.
This seems like the kind of people are not aware of the.
I think we lost you there for a sec, Miles, or you lost me, one of the two.
Yeah, it faded out for me as well. Okay. Assumed it was my line.
It doesn't land cleanly. It's a pretty major difference. I say we pass on it.
Yep. Seems reasonable.
Good with me.
Now, REPL, improve require auto completion.
I'm going to say no. I don't think people need to be. I mean, how much people need the REPL in 6? I guess you're testing 6 specific things, but if you're auto-completing core modules, like, yeah. I guess it's a reasonably small diff.
It's one of those ones that people were asking for it, but it doesn't. It's not one of those ones where letting people use it earlier in code, like lets the code run across versions.
Yeah, I mean, it's only for manual tab completion, right?
It lands. It lands cleanly.
Not particularly against it if
yeah,
it works.
I was going to say I wouldn't object.
It lands cleanly in test pass. I'd say we just land it.
Yeah, fine.
Sure.
It improves the user experience. Cool.
Yep. Done.
Implement what working group encoding standard API for buffer is the next one. It's a big one. My gut is no on this.
Is it additive like the other one, what WG one we mentioned, or is it changing a lot of existing stuff?
Provide an initially experimental implementation of the WhatWig encoding standard API text decoder text encoder. It's the same API implemented on the browser side.
Yeah, experimental sounds like not required for 6.
Yeah. I don't know if it's experimental, but we can't just backport this one thing. It's going to be a whole thing. So if someone wants to see this backported, they need to kind of do what Timothy did, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, next one is Anna's 14518.
Enable managing independent channels in JS. Seems like the kind of thing, if it lands, then maybe we should consider it, but I have a feeling it's not going to land.
I was going to say there's quite a few code changes in there.
It also relies on async wraps, so I'd say no.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Add console.count and console.clear. Seems like another one to me. But if it cherry picks, we should consider it.
Yeah.
Compiles. It's running the test suite now. So I say, yeah, we move forward with this one landing. They're
just looks additive, so.
Yeah. Next is dgram add custom lookup function in sockets. Landed in 8.6. Does not land cleanly. I would say no on this one, unless someone specifically requests it.
Yep.
What was the one that...
You're having one thought, you were talking about different ways of, because we could write a script which would test whether any of these ones landed cleanly or not, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I wonder it'd be handy to have like the original list actually be 2 lists, one which is like all these did not land cleanly, and you could just say, these ones don't land cleanly, so they're just not going to land unless somebody requests them. Well, all the rest of these did.
That'd be a generally useful thing for us to have. I think we started playing around with that with the GitHub bot in the past.
Right.
So the next one we have here is util implement %0, %o as a format specifier. So we have that in format right now. Upstream, unlike the other one, yeah, didn't we just land the other?
Yeah, we said we'd take the other one because it was the part that was breaking was excluded.
Yep.
So I don't see why we wouldn't take this one too, unless there's something else in it. Yeah, it seems low risk and for the consistency argument.
Yeah. Let's see if it lands.
As long as it lands.
It's not. It's not. Huh, weird. I can take a look at this one afterwards. This is probably going to need to be manually backported.
You might need the other one already to have landed. Is that possible?
Yeah, like, so I'm working on a branch where I've landed all the things as well.
Okay, right, okay.
I'll take this one. I'll put it aside. I'll take a look at it myself later. I think I'll be able to backport this. I just need to look. So like that's with like the argument parser there. We have like a combinations of breaks and continues that are inconsistent between the two branches. So I just need to play around a bit to make sure that that works the way we want it to. Next one is inspector allow require in runtime evaluation. Like the other ones, I'm going to say we just skip the inspector stuff.
Agreed.
It's too big.
Yep.
Now we have like the perf hooks. What is next? Implementation of performance timing API. I think that this one is interesting, but I don't think that it's consistent enough. And like it has to be like backported wholesale with a whole bunch of stuff. So like we could ping James to ask him if he wants to take on backporting that. But I don't think that we need to.
And how long has it been out there for?
It's an 8 as far as I know.
Right. I'm just wondering if it's been, I guess we're not going to change the APIs necessarily, but how stable it was basically.
8.5 looks like.
Let's take a look. Stability index. Where's it's still experimental.
Yeah.
So let's skip
Yeah,
that.
I'd be tempted exactly to say once it's non-experimental, then it could be backported, but otherwise.
Yep.
So now we have console implement minimal console.group. Looks like there was a little bit of a conversation afterwards. There's a fix that needs to come with this if we land it. I think we can just ping Rich and ask him if he wants to backport it. That would be my choice. What do y'all think?
If it doesn't land, then yes.
Yep.
And the only reason I'm saying to ping him is because we just landed the other console stuff. So we may try to make it as consistent as possible.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
Next one. Multiple PFX and create secure context. Add support for multiple PFX files in TLS create secure context. That seems useful. Does not land cleanly. I'm going to say no, based on the diff. It's not a huge diff, but I'm not convinced right now that we even have support for PFX properly right now in 6.
Okay. Yeah.
Since there's been no requests for it, I think we can move on. FS add FS copy file and copy file sync. This API I know had like a handful of different fixes to it since it came out. Landed on 8.5, not a ton of fixes, but I do believe that it is relying on a libuv backport as well.
libuv.
Which I'm surprised is not come up yet. There's like,
Well, the very first thing it's stricken out, though. Now that may not that may be stricken out because the libuv thing landed.
I think it's because they didn't need to include the libuv commit in this PR.
Right.
so we've got libuv 1.15 on 6. Was the last one that we landed. And I think the last one on master is like,
Yeah, this said it basically needs 1.14.1.
okay, well, we've got 1.15 on 6.
Because that's the original thing. It says, it says this PR is blocked until 14866 lands, which is upgrade libuv to 1.14.1. Says again, this needs a fix in libuv, but can be worked around a node if that doesn't land. That fix is
Here's blocked until 1.4.1, which is landed.
And then there's another issue, which is 1509. That landed on September 2nd.
So I think I want to just ping Colin and ask him if he wants to backport it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Because he'll be the one who will know, like, whatever odds and ends there are.
Yeah, and he'll, yes.
The next one we have is dgram buffers.
Okay, that does sound interesting at the beginning.
There's a refactor of it. Refactor is an LTS watch. Let's see if this lands, and then we can iterate.
Yeah.
It is not. It's missing. Okay, so this is going to be a pain in the butt because it relies on internal.errors, like the internal errors module.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm going to just say no.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to have, but given that there's work,
Yep,
no is fine.
Next one is set multicast interface outgoing interface section. Add wrapper for UVs, UV, UDP set multicast interface, which provides the center side mechanism to explicitly select an interface. Multicast is fun. So yeah, it looks like, the review went through the paces on this one.
yeah.
Lands cleanly though. I guess another thing to keep in mind is once we land these and we open the pull requests, we can ping the whole team and give them a chance to have any of this stuff removed.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, hey, this is the list if you have concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this isn't going to break anybody, is it?
No, this is completely additive.
So it's completely additive. The main argument against it would be as if, like, we still think it's going to change for some reason, but it
comes with a lot of tests.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
September 14th. Yeah, I can't see any reason to say no.
Okay. Let's double check this one. This landed in 8.6. Yeah, I'm positive about landing this one myself.
Same.
All right, cool. The next one we have crypto support, multiple ECDH curves, and auto. This is 18206. Looks like this caused a bug with SSL handshake error. So since it did, I would say maybe we just like at our crypto team and ask them if they want it.
Yep.
Backport.
Makes sense. You're going to ping them in the meta issue or in the actual PR?
I've just been pinging everyone in the meta issue. I think
Okay.
it's easy for people to miss it in the PR.
Yep. It's good to have them all in one place as well.
Next one is FS add O desync flag. Landed in 8.7 in October. It's just a flag to label that something's being run asynchronously.
Yeah, it doesn't looks low risk.
Hmm.
Except I do see there was this. Oh well, it doesn't land in V8X staging, but
There's a backport open. I can try to just land that backport PR.
to the new
Backport.
fixtures tooling.
Backport seems closed, doesn't it? Oh, you mean for 6?
There's an 8.x backport PR. And like I can try landing those. That doesn't land.
Wait, we're talking about the O desync flag, right?
Yeah.
I thought there's a T Neeson. He manually backported, didn't he? 15653.
Oh, is that one of the ones that's opened?
Possibly.
Yeah, actually, you know what? We have 2 Semver miners that are open right now. There's 6. We have a couple, actually. Sorry, give me 1 second. What when was that backport that you're talking? The backport that you're talking about, is that to 6 or to 8?
To 8.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at
Maybe
that 8 backport and trying to land that. That
on
has
6.
a conflict with the test.
Right.
I'm on the fence. What do people think?
If it landed okay, but you're saying, yeah,
I can revisit it and take a look if that test is easy to patch up.
Yeah. I think I'd be cautiously +1.
Okay, cool.
Seeing how much work it is, basically.
By the way, as a heads up, there are 3 tests that are failing from ones that we've reviewed as a yes during this session. They look like they're going to be easy enough to fix, so I'm going to go through and just do that afterwards. But just to give you 2 a heads up, I may have to back out one of the ones that we've agreed to, and I'll document that.
Sure.
I don't think any of them have been like we really need this on 6. So
Yeah, they've mostly been for consistency, makes sense.
Yep.
And as long as they land without extra work.
Yeah,
so feel free to drop them. So with
expose ECDH class.
docs already document the class. Okay.
You're saying it was inconsistent. Say, and the backport for 8 should just land cleanly on 6. Is not, unfortunately. Oh, that is why. And the backport from 8 lands cleanly on 6. I'm +1 on landing this.
Yep.
Yep, given that the docs already said it was there, that seems reasonable.
All right, cool. Running the test suite, I'll let you know if there's any issues.
Cool.
Next up, macOS installer improvements. Oh, this was a really good one. This is the new installer that we landed in
Yes.
8.7.
So there is a there was one bug with this, but I wouldn't say it's a big enough deal to. If you look at the last comment.
Yeah, that was the rendering. We need to add like 2 spaces or something.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Does it change the way you use the installer or anything visible?
No, in fact, like what it does is it actually removes the npm folder when it installs. It improves the installer, in my opinion, dramatically.
So nobody would depend on that folder being there left over by accident, or
If it was left over, it only creates edge cases, because basically what was happening before is if you didn't remove the npm folder and then just installed the new npm folder there, if the node modules folder was different, you could end up keeping old versions of node modules there, which then can be resolved by a resolution algorithm and cause npm to break.
So it should give you a cleaner install because it's got rid of the old craft.
okay.
Yep. And as I said, we've only had that one issue, and that issue was not a big deal. So, and it looks like a genuine quality of life. Like it's a nicer installer process. +1. I'll take the baking for LTS tag off as well then.
Because it's already in 8?
No, look, it's not baking anymore, right?
I know, but my point is, my question was, is it's already in 8, or is this?
Yeah, we've been shipping this for months.
Okay. So it's just a backport to 6, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a conflict right now in one of the tests for that crypto class that we just backported. But that looks reasonable enough to fix. It's a bug in using a V8 feature that doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay. The installer landed cleanly.
Cool. But I guess we should make a mental note, Miles, when we do the builds to actually run that new installer and make sure it all looks okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
The next one we have here is a deprecation, so I think we should skip it.
Agreed.
Yep.
The next one's HTTP2, so that does not make sense for us. We landed on 8, so it doesn't make sense for 9.
Right.
The next one we have is HTTP support generic duplex streams. It's landed in 9. So we're finally up to the point where we're on both.
Right.
Okay. That's good to know.
So with that being said, let me look at things really quickly. It's not entirely true. Actually, there's a couple more here that are still 8. So maybe we should just go through this list. But we can, for the ones that landed on 9, think about 9 as well.
Sorry. Landed on 9?
So this one, the support generic duplex streams, that landed in 9.0.
Yep.
But
Right.
some of the commits afterwards that we're looking at still were from the 8.x branch.
Right. So is HTTP2 in Node 6?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
No, but we're looking at the one that's HTTP above the HTTP2, right?
Yeah, so we skipped the HTTP one. Let's go through this list, and when we get to ones, once we start seeing that we're only seeing 9.x and no more 8.x, it might make sense to switch lists.
Yeah, I guess.
Although I guess they're going to be the same list at that point.
Well, if they're going to be the same, yeah, let's just keep going with this one, and then
yeah, just do a quick look at the other one and see if anything.
Yep, I should be able to rerun it. I've been putting the tags on and see that everything is labeled.
Yeah. Have you been updating the labels as we've been going?
Yes, and
Okay.
commenting.
Thank you.
You should have hundreds of new notifications as well.
Nothing like an LTS data drown your inbox.
Exactly. So it's why you always want to be the one doing the release, because then you don't get the notifications.
I see.
So yeah, HTTP duplex streams. Okay.
So one thing in here is you can see that it was labeled with baking for LTS.
Yep.
So this was something that was being considered for LTS from the beginning. Landed in October. Support generic duplex streams through more duct taping on the server and client. Since HTTP is a protocol independent of underlying transport layer, Node should not enforce any restrictions on what streams this HTTP parser may use.
So it sounds like Matteo said he was +1 to backporting to 8 as a minor after baking when he added the label. But it's now got a don't land on 8 label. Oh, okay. I think that was a
misclick.
Yeah, I think he thought don't land means don't land for now.
That makes sense.
So I'm going to take that off, and I think for 8 it seems reasonable to me.
Okay, cool. Would you like me to be doing the checks on 8 as well?
Yeah, please. Be helpful.
In a second.
I mean, hey, if they land, just shove them on staging, and I'll go through and fix tests and stuff after.
Yeah, it's basically what I've been doing right now.
Right.
I'm compiling, running the tests, and when the tests are failing, but they're obviously just failing because the tests need to change a few things.
Yep.
Then I'm just leaving them, and I'll fix them after.
Sounds good.
This lands cleanly on 8.
Right.
Does not land cleanly on 9.
6.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say +1 for 8. For 6.
We can land it on 8 right now, and then just make a note and say, hey, if you want to see this on 6.
Yep. Sounds good.
Agreed.
I like that we haven't had to have too many backports so far. Makes me pretty happy.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready for the next one?
Yep.
Next one is util, graduate text decoder, and text decoder. I'm sorry. So before, remember that when we were looking at, they were like, oh, wait, this is still experimental. It was graduated out of experimental in 8.
Okay.
I still think that we just move forward without it. No one's been asking for it.
For 6. Yep.
Yeah. This is a big enough feature that, like, if people wanted it, they'd ask.
Agreed.
Yep. Went into 9s, into 8, 9, so that's fine.
Yeah. Next one, module support custom paths to require.resolve. No. It's in 8 already, and I get really nervous about touching.
Yep. Resolve.
Good?
Yep.
Cool. CLI add -- stack trace limit to node options.
Yes.
It says LTF watch for both. I'm very pro this.
Yeah, I think all these node options ones are usually pretty minor. Like the only reason we didn't blanket add them all straight away is because of security concerns. So if they've gone onto master,
yeah, as long as they exist in 6, then sure.
Yep.
So the tests of conflict. So on 6 lands cleanly. on 8. So I'm going to run the test suite on 8. I'll pull it aside and take a look at what the hell's going on with 6 afterwards. Next one, this landed on 9.1, so now we're looking up for both HTTP, HTTP2, add 103 early hints status codes. Early hints draft is approved by IESG, and the draft is queued by the RFC editor.
There doesn't look like a lot to the change itself.
No, so my feelings on this is that I consider this still experimental because the status code is still a draft. Status. Is it still a draft? No, it may be an RFC now. Oh, yeah, it's experimental as of December. So since this status code is experimental and it's LTS, I would say let's not land it on 6, and let's put a LTS watch for 8 on it, and we can revisit on the next minor and see if it's moved out of experimental.
Makes sense. Yep.
Sounds
The
good.
only alternative would be, since this is landing on HTTP for consistency, we may want to just have it
On 8, you mean?
or even on 6. But I feel weird about adding like the experimental stuff to LTS.
Yeah. I'm not sure it needs to go into 6. Like, it's not a big deal if it does, but it seems a bit... I'd say 8 for the next release and 6 for this one sounds about right. And if people want it, obviously, then...
Yeah. I guess that's another thing. No one's been like, hey, I'm trying to do this and it doesn't work. Can you please land it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're supporting experimental status codes, you're probably not on 6, right?
It's a very good point. All right, cool. Next one, FS exposed RealPath 3 bindings. Oh, God. I'm laughing because I did a whole bunch of research on RealPath 3 in the past. Thing is a thing. Ben Nordhaus, backborders, this should land together with the documentation. This adds RealPath native. So if I recall correctly, I think that this is in 6. So if this lands cleanly on 6, I'm for it landing.
You think it's an 8?
Definitely an 8.
Right.
Does not land cleanly in 8. So in 6, I mean. So I say skip it for 6.
Yep, and it's already an 8.
It's not already an 8, but it lands cleanly in 8.
Oh, okay.
And it has to come with this doc fix.
Yeah, landing an 8 sounds fine.
Hello. Sorry about that. My browser crashed. Can you repaste the gist link, or is it in one of these? In the issue, I can find it.
It's in the meta issue.
Okay, I'm finding it.
Yeah.
Now, this is interesting. Oh, I did. Okay. So, yeah, expose RealPath 3 bindings, make UVFS RealPath binding, which calls the libc RealPath on Unix, or get final path name available for RealPath native and RealPath native sync. Binding's already available. So yeah, it was in 6 that we landed like the version of libuv that came with RealPath. Oh, hold on one second. This completely breaks Jest. Because it changed process.binding.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what did it break?
Jest, Facebook
Just
testing suite.
okay, right.
So we definitely shouldn't land this on 6.
Yep.
I think I'm personally fine since this landed in 9.2, which was in November. I don't know.
I feel like people have to, like, if people have workarounds that say, if 9 do this, otherwise do that, then they're going to have to go and change them again. Unless there's a reason to have it on 8. If it has broken people.
Well, I mean, the only thing it breaks is process.binding, which is not a supported API.
Yeah, but
it looks like Jest has...
What was the fix?
Oh, yeah, so here's an example. They're using use fs realpath sync .native if available. Okay, so
they wouldn't be broken.
Break stuff.
Yep.
But anyone who is breaking is already going to have some sort of catch in there to not be broken by 9. So maybe should we just bake this for another cycle?
Yeah.
A rush to get it.
Sounds good.
That's what I was thinking. Give it some more time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like once 10 lands, then we have a... Yeah, let's do that. Because if we wait another 3 months, then we're around the time that 10's coming out.
Yep.
10's going to be LTS, so if it's broken in 10, people are definitely going to need to fix it.
Yep.
Cool. Next one we have here is OpenSSL CA path configuration option. I think that there's...
I think as long as this lands, we should definitely take this one.
I think it lands cleanly on both.
Because this is the kind of thing that...
You think people are using?
Yeah, like if it's actually, if exactly, like if you need to configure your certificates because they're not in the right format, you're stuck otherwise, right? And
okay, so this no longer lands cleanly on either of the branches. Seems reasonable to ask, but I think it was. Let's just double check if that was the one that was open. Dan had an open backport on 6. Guard bundled CA OpenSSL with have OpenSSL. Yeah, so it looks like both of the branches have moved. I'll check one thing really quickly on this. Sorry. Thank you for your patience.
So for this one, I kind of feel like if Danbev is willing to backport, like we should take it. But I think there's a comment in the code that says this section shouldn't be required, but I've got a PR to change this later. So it might be a bit more complex than, just pulling this in.
Yeah, so the conflicts aren't super huge. They're in JIP. Right. We should just ask him to backport it.
Yeah. I think this one is like one it's worth asking if he can.
Yep. +1 to backporting if he's willing to. But if not, then I don't think many other people are likely to need it. So
I don't know. Is there any option? Like that's... Anyway, let's see what he says.
Yep.
Okay. I've
Yep. Commented.
excuse me. Sorry. I'm a mess.
I'm impressed your voice is holding up.
Yeah, you're doing well.
Thank you. This is fun. Okay, libuv 16.1.
Yeah. Sounds like you were +1 on it, Miles.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable, but I feel we should just check if Colin's like what he thinks about it and the libuv team.
I personally would say we should just land the libuv ones. Personally.
In both 6 and 8?
Yeah.
Like 8 is a no-brainer for me, I guess, but
These end up fixing lots of little bugs that we don't even know about.
that could have lots of little subtle changes, though.
So for what it's worth, like we've been consistently updating libuv across all of the branches. Like 6 and 8, as far as I know, currently are using the exact same version right now.
Okay, we never do them separately. Okay, because that was my other thought was, I don't know if we ever did like 8 first and then the next cycle do 6. But.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, we're not going to have another cycle on 6. This is like likely to be the last minor. The only reason I was originally saying in November maybe not landing it on 6 was simply I wasn't sure if we were going to have another minor. But yeah, like during active, we've consistently been landing libuv updates.
Yep. Okay. I'm fine with that. If
Michael, if you're okay with it, what I would like to do is land all the libuv updates, but explicitly ping Colin and the libuv team in the release issues to sign off on it. And if there's any issues at all that there might be, then we can revert it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to change what we're doing, but that sounds like a good thing to do.
Yep.
Is to get their input each time.
Cool. Then the next one we have is add process.ppid.
I think this is actually enabled by that libuv update.
Yeah.
So it's basically just exposing that in Node. So if we're landing libuv, seems reasonable to land this one.
Yeah, and it just seems additive, so.
Yeah. No discussion. Yep.
Landed cleanly on both.
Cool.
Port OpenSSL 1.1.0 and 1.0.2. It's a pretty huge change.
Sorry, which one are you looking at? The add OpenSSL?
The next 50. All the crypto ones are.
Okay. I was looking at the right. Yes. Okay. Right.
Yeah. This is massive.
I would like to ping David Ben to maybe backport it. What do you think? At least for 8. The reason I'm saying that is because 8's going to have the issue near the end of its life cycle where 1.0.1 is going to go end of life. So this was completely like if I recall the way this was done, it did not change anything. And the only reason why we did it as Semver minor was specifically because it was additive and defensively.
Right. I don't think we need to switch 8, like 8.102. We've already shortened the lifespan of 8, so 102 should be good until 8 goes out of service. The question is does having it in 8 let people validate it, try it out?
Yeah, so for example, Debian or apt is going to continue to ship 8, and this will allow people to build against 1.02 once 1.01 is no longer being made.
You mean 1.1.0?
1.0.1. This is support for 1.0.2 and 1.1.0.
Right.
We're currently on 1. Oh wait, yeah, we're on
No, no.
1.0.2. Sorry.
This is adding 1.1.0.
Yeah.
Like before, it's a bit confusing title, but it always supported 1.02.
This is
Adding
1.1.
the capability to build 1.1.0. Yeah, so that was sort of like I'm getting at. Like, I don't think we'll need to switch in 8, but if it enables people to do things, it shouldn't hurt us in any way, right? So
Yeah, so no for 6, maybe for 8.
yeah, that's kind of like yeah, I can't see going back to 6 making sense. 8 might make sense. And so yeah, I think it'd be kind of like, hey, do you think maybe we ask then, does it make sense to backport this to 8, and are you willing to, right?
Yeah. Like it'd be good to check with Ben and Rod. I think they're both reviewed.
Yeah, Rod
Just to make
reviewed
sure.
it and says on here that it explicitly is not a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have him explicitly say it's going to be okay for 8 as well. See what I mean? Because
Right.
Add the baking label there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also that they say, oh yeah, there's value.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a bunch of work, right? Like, or
Yeah.
potentially a bunch of work. So if in the end nobody would ever use it, again, maybe not worth asking.
I think that people will use it personally. And I think that it allows us to open the door to having things handled sooner. It makes me happy. But
I'm certainly not
anyways, let's
opposed as long as somebody's willing to do the work.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I'll put that in a comment.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Cool. Progress. Look at that.
So on the bright side, that was like a ton of commits.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's good.
This next one's an HTTP 2.1, which I'm going to skip for now because James is doing a mass 8.x HTTP 2 update.
Sorry, which one are we at? Okay, so that went all the way up to 17105?
Yes.
Okay.
And we skip that because James is doing a HTTP 2 upgrade by itself.
And it's experimental, so...
Next one's add support for console debug method. I'm +1 on this.
It fits in with our, like, if we're trying to make things consistent, unless there's some risk or it doesn't land and takes work.
It does not land cleanly on 6, but the breakage is just in a test. It does land cleanly in 8. So I'll do the same thing I did with those other ones. I'm going to pull it aside, and I'll see about getting that landing on 6 cleanly. But I have landed it onto 8.
Sounds good.
The next one we have is source nappy. This one's not relevant for 6, but is relevant for 8. Add helper for add-ons to get the event loop. I think it makes sense to keep the nappy up to date. This is from November, so it's had some time to bake. It went out in December, so it's been out for about a month. And this is what we're going to see for the rest of these. We don't have the same kind of ticking clock on 8 as we do on 6 because 8 is going to have another minor in a couple months. Michael, since you do so much stuff with the NAPI, is this something that you would want to see?
Yeah, basically we want them all to go back. Like we want to get it to be non-experimental in 8, so at some point we would want them all the changes we've made in master to get back into 8. And we were even hoping for 6. Now it sounds like we may have missed that boat, but so yes. And I think at this point, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but more along the lines of like, this has only been out in a release for about a month.
Right.
Has this been long enough?
Yeah, I'm gonna think we may have had as much feedback as we're gonna get.
Okay.
Am I thinking? We're certainly, like, we're at the point where if we need to change something, we're likely to, we've agreed to change API, like add APIs as opposed to break existing ones.
And if it's broken, it may as well be consistently broken.
across. Well, yeah, like we basically said that, it's yeah.
Right, cool. It lands
Exactly.
cleanly, and I've gone ahead and landed it.
Yep. Okay.
Did you say it was experiment? Is Nappy still experimental in 8?
Yes.
So yeah, I don't see a problem with landing it.
The next one is source, add public API for managing Node platform. This is for embedders. This landed in November of 2017. It got released in 9.3. In embedders like Electron, we need control for when to use V8 platform and when not to. Looks like there was some pushback about whether or not this actually solved.
Yeah, Ben wasn't convinced it was necessary, I think.
But you know what? If the team was asking for it and it's not breaking anything.
Yeah, it's not going to come out of like this. We're not going to drop it again, right? So
yeah. So
well, I guess the thing is we could drop it in if it's only in master, right?
It's gone out in a 9.x release.
Right. Okay.
This does not land cleanly on 8, and it creates something called a multi isolate platform. It's an object that it's using. So it's possible that this is something that's specific to the version of V8. I'd say maybe we can do a request for a backport or let this bake a little longer. What do y'all think?
I'd say let it bake and also ask ZC Benz if it would help them to have it on 8.
Yeah.
And if so, would they be willing to backport?
Okay. Cool.
But I mean, if they come ahead and if they do a backport and actually check and do it for 8 for this release, I guess I don't have a problem with it.
The next one that we have is process send signal name to signal handlers. This is again, so I'm just gonna be honest here. We're getting to the point now, at least on this list, we may have to review the other list, where these things have only been out for a month, and most of that month has been vacation time.
That is true.
So I'm not super confident that so basically what I would like to suggest that we do for the rest of these reviews is look at stuff. If these things seem like things we 100% definitely need on 6 and it's a problem if we don't land it, we should land it. Yep. Otherwise, I think that we should just let them bake longer. Yep. Any objections?
No, that sounds good to me. I'm just reading the titles.
Yeah, so this process one doesn't seem like something that we definitely need. Module one doesn't make sense for 6. Although that actually should maybe get... oh, no. This one is nice. I actually want to see this on 6.
Yeah, I've actually had people ask for that, like, even just in beginners courses, just to say, how do we get the list for each version of Node?
This needs to be manually backported, though. Because the list is different.
So if it's going to go into 6, it needs to go now.
Yeah. Do you want to ping Mac Lover on this one?
Yep, sure.
Okay, he's pretty active, so
yeah.
Be surprised if he says sure.
Yeah. And then, Gibson, could you add it to the meta issue too, please?
Sure.
Excellent. Upgrade libuv. I think that one should bake longer.
Fine.
Add dir XML method for console. There's an LTS watch for 6 there that was added by Gibson. I think that this should bake more. I'm just like not comfortable with features that haven't been there for an extended period of time to make sure there aren't like edge cases.
Yep.
Unless there's some reason that drives it.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, for 6, let's just make it don't land, right?
Yeah. There's zlib add array buffer support. This landed even later. This is in 9.4. These things landed like 4 days ago, so we definitely shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So skip that, skip this, skip this, skip this. Okay, so the only thing left to do now is to just, there's 2 things left to do. The first thing is to review, or 3 things. Let's look at the 8.x list really quickly and make sure that there wasn't anything on there that wasn't on the 6 list. which is possible because there was ones that could have had don't land labels. Review the requests that people had in the issue. There's the 3 requests that Mateo had.
Yep.
And the 1 request that Evan Lucas had. Then look at the backports that are open right now, and if there's any minors, just reviewing them really quickly.
Yep. Sounds good.
So so I'm looking right now. Oh, here's one, for example, ICU 60 bump. So this one was requested. There's the 60.2, but landed this on 8, backport for 6. There's a backport requested, but never made. So that's where we're at. Weird that was coming up in the list there, but maybe the
one where you're waiting on Stephen Loomis.
Yeah, so if Stephen Loomis wants to backport 60, let me just check something. So that's interesting. 8 doesn't have 60.1. That never got landed.
There's the Gibson comment you said landed on 8.x on December 13th.
Maybe it got backed out because it was Semver minor.
Yes. Does that still have the? Where are we?
Okay, so I landed it on 8.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, it was fine at the time. I just obviously shouldn't have gone back.
Should we ping Stephen just to say if you want it on 6, need a backport this week, or?
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll add that in.
Cool.
That shouldn't be too bad. It's just an update. It looks like.
Why is this week is accurate? Because we're giving people a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just comment on that one.
I think I can maybe get this to land. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I don't want to miss this one. It has 56 new emoji characters.
Sorry. So we've got 58.2 on 6x staging, 59.1. Cross your fingers. That worked. I think this is going to land cleanly. 6 was behind 2 versions.
Right, okay. So it's not that it's...
It was just missing that one commit. There we go. I've got it on 6.
Okay, so I'll comment again. Never mind.
Let me make sure the test passed, but it should.
Okay.
No. It's going to need a manual backport.
Okay, I'll just leave the comment as is then.
Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. Compiler errors galore.
Okay.
There's a bunch of compiler warnings now in 8 with 60.1, but we can,
Yep.
That's a good first contribution.
Right.
Okay, so we have the OpenCL ones that we looked at, the libuv one that we looked at, the process ID one. And then we have all these crypto ones that we looked at for the OpenSSL. Cool, and then that brings us back to here, stream parameter work.
Did we see that?
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the ones that?
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar.
I don't think we did because there's no comment on it anyway. And
Usage of state. Yeah.
yeah, this is one of the ones that Matteo asked for.
Oh, I was talking about the crypto 6030. Yeah. So this one, stream, remove usable, readable, writable, state, high watermark. This one, I don't think we saw.
No, we didn't. This is the one Matteo wanted. And if Matteo wants it, that seems reasonable.
It seems like for both 6 and 8 potentially. Does not land cleanly on 6.
It's got a don't land on it. Matteo added don't land on 6, so.
Oh my bad. It lands on 8.
Cool. Yeah.
I read the labels wrong. The next one we have is async hooks, add trace events. That has a don't land for 6. But I think that this is the one that Andreas Madsen was talking about in the thread and we asked about. Another async hooks one, that is also one that we asked Andreas about. Console, we just talked about. Source nappy, we just landed.
Yep.
Add public API for node platform, send signal name. Trace events, add execution async ID to init events.
That doesn't sound like one we talked about.
No. This one originally, this has a don't land on 4, don't land on 6, LTS watch for 8. See if it lands. If it doesn't, this will have to be manually.
This is an async hooks one, right? We could just ask Andreas to include it in his Mammoth async hooks backport.
It hasn't landed for me.
Right.
This built-in modules one. We talked about libuv. Yep. This is the one. Now we're to the point where I was saying we need to bake longer.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, the rest of these all seem.
Yeah, these are all like more recent. All right, cool. So we're up to date on that. Let's just look at the tracking issue and make sure that we didn't miss anything. So the one that Colin asked about, or Evan asked about, was process send signal name to signal handlers. That was the one that we were looking at that was only landed in a release about a month ago. So he asked it for an 8, so I think it's reasonable to just say it needs to bake a little bit longer.
Yep, unless he has a.
And then Matteo asked for 3 commits. Frame RM writable readable state.length. And streams add flow buffer. So let's just double check and make sure that we didn't. And stream remove usage of state high watermark. Okay. Let's take a look. So the first one was stream remove readable writable. This is don't land on 6. I think this is the one I just landed, right? Oh, but this one only landed 4 days ago, or like last week. So this one needs to bake more.
Yep.
Remove writable state.length. Remove usage of readable writable. This is don't land on 6, Semver minor. Least teamwork +1. So I'm guessing that one's in there then. That was one we did. And the next one is stream add flow and buffer properties to streams. This one also just landed 6 days ago. So
yeah, delaying would be good.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's reasonable for Colin and Mateo's. We can just ping and say they just need to bake a little bit longer.
Yep. Evan.
Thank you both for taking all the time to do this. This is like, I feel so much more relieved.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to get through them all for sure.
Yeah.
So if we look at the 8.x label on here, we have the update V8 one, which we agreed should land. We have an async wrap, add provider types for net server, has been backported by Andreas. That one's Semver Minor. I'm personally, anything that Andreas asks for an async wrap, I'm a +1 on.
Yep.
Pretty easy for me.
Yep.
Everything else here, I'll just double check the PRs of these three, but I don't think any of them are Semver Minor. No. 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 Nope. Okay, so all the ones that are on 8.x right now, the requests, we agreed on all the minors. And then we agreed that we can backport that Dan Bev one for guarding CA OpenSSL when have OpenSSL. So we're done. We're done.
Yep. Excellent.
Done. We're done. We're done. I'm going to push upstream to 8.x staging. There are no conflicts. 6.x. And I'm going to fix all of those before I push the changes that we agreed upon up.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll pick that up tomorrow.
We're done.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Success. All right. So I'm going to say I think we're all fine on just skipping everything else on the agenda because there's no one to discuss. Like this, and it's nothing particularly urgent. So we should maybe have another release meeting though in maybe a few weeks, 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Gibson, would you like to open an issue now for it?
Sounds good. Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and maybe I was premature in canceling the regular meetings, and maybe we should just do a monthly.
Yeah, I mean, they were like, I don't know. I feel it was too often, but never is too.
We missed a few, and then
yeah,
just having it guarded in our calendar, like because it's just so hard for us to like make sure we're all there at the same time.
Yeah,
we at least guard it in our calendar.
That's the real benefit, right? Is the regular time. So
if we say let's put it back in, but be aware that we can cancel if there's nothing on, or just have a really short meeting if there's one thing, like get through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that if we just plan a meeting for the Monday before the RC, so like just say on the second Monday of every month or something like that, that seems pretty reasonable to me. Although that gets weird with months with too many Mondays, so maybe we just do like.
Maybe we should do the first Monday because you kind of want to have a week between approving the minors and like
first Monday.
Them up.
The first Monday is when we do the release.
That's a good point.
How easily does Google Calendar let you do that?
It doesn't. That's the issue, right? We can't say do it on the first Monday. We can say like every 4 weeks. That's why I was thinking it get weird.
Because that sucks. Like, because I have a tool that will create the related, issue and Google Doc, but it relies on it being in the calendar.
Let's just stick with Google Calendar. Let's make it once a month. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
For anyone who's still listening, I don't know if there's anyone still watching.
Why?
But we're going to delay the RC by a week and delay the release by a week. I'll update the wiki and I'll tweet that out. We'll try to keep the following RC, though, into the same schedule that we have. We won't change that schedule. So, it will just be this one release that will be delayed. Other than that, Michael, Gibson and I were talking about the fact that we, like, even with the addition of Gibson to the LTS team, it just doesn't feel sustainable.
Yeah.
And further outside of that, just releases in general, without like pointing fingers or anything. you know, we've had a month between releases for the last 2 V9 releases, and we're supposed to be doing it on a weekly basis.
Right.
So in theory, where we should have had between 6 and 9 releases, we've had 2.
Right.
And the reason those releases went out is because Miles went, we need a 9 to do an 8 and a 6.
Right.
Like, and so it's pretty much Miles doing 2 release lines now. Yeah.
But
right. So you're right.
And the other thing too, and like what happened with this recent 9 is like we had commits that were as old as like November or December that were landing in there. And
Right.
this makes it harder. Like, for example, there are Semver miners that won't land in 6 now because they didn't go out in a release.
Right. Yeah.
But on top of that, there's tons of conflicts. The longer we wait, the longer it takes us to land things in staging because we're not actively landing in staging, which then means the more conflicts we have. And I spent almost like 15, 20 hours doing last week's 9 release. And then the combination of doing last week's 9 release and me getting sick is why I couldn't get the 8 and 6 release, like
Sure.
these LTS stuff. So it compounds. So I think we need to be figuring out something more sustainable. Some of it is probably automation, some of it is people, but a reason why we may need to meet more is I think we need to be actively recruiting people into the release team right now, because it's just not happening at the pace that we need it.
That does make sense to me, and I think if you've recruited new people, then there's more of a motivation to get together. And I think even you're better, like, it's kind of hard to purely recruit through GitHub, whereas when you get together and actually talk to people, I think that may make it a bit easier. In any case, like I'm always in favor of getting together at some interval, right? Like not too often, but never is. You can kind of lose contact, in my opinion. So
part of the challenge too is it's time-intensive work. Work requires really good understanding of kind of what's going on in every single subsystem. You need to know who all the people are, and you need to have trust. So it's like the window of people that we can have doing releases right now is really small. And so maybe it's even just something that we need to be approaching our foundation partners. IBM's obviously investing in this, and Google's investing in this. But maybe this is something that the foundation could ask our partners to like have people who are on the payroll who are dedicated for helping with this release stuff, because you know, people who are bonded to a foundation member is, you know, a really good way to get that level. Yeah, agreed.
Like we could think about who's. Yeah, no, I think you're right. We should, if it's like it sounds like we used to have a fairly reasonable commitment to the currents, which maybe we have a challenge on now. So.
Like, I mean, even with the people we have, it's great, but it's like, we just need more. And we need people not just who are volunteers. And I don't mean that as anything against the people who are volunteers. I appreciate so much all the effort that all the volunteers put into doing it. But like, because this work is so time intensive, I think we need people who are on payroll of organizations who are focused on this.
Someone's got to be able to block out the time, like a day, to do a release.
Yeah. It's definitely not just a do in your spare time easily.
And also, of course, the larger the pool, the easier it is to say, well, you know, if you're doing the 9 release line, you only have to. I know it's helpful to have one person doing all the releases, but if the more you share, the less of a burden it is, right? Whereas if it's I'm doing the whole thing, then it really wears you down quite quickly.
Yeah,
agreed. And then if, you know, coverage even while, you know, you're on holiday the week that it's supposed to happen, right? So
then the other thing too is it was discussed, and I think we need to move forward with doing this, of scheduling our 9 releases. Maybe make it bi-weekly officially and just scheduling them. And then at the beginning of the quarter, having the release team pick which ones they'll do.
Yeah, like, but that we just need people who can then commit to doing the particular releases.
Yep. And maybe this is just something that we change in the release charter. Like, if you want to be on the release team, you need to be willing to do X number of releases a year. And maybe that's only like 2 or 3, right? But we should sit down and start formalizing this a bit. And I don't think that there was any objections from anyone to formalizing it.
Yeah, no. Okay, so in terms of like, we were going to put something back on the calendar. When should we put the next one?
Well, Monday the 5th.
Okay, so Monday the 5th of February, and then monthly from then on.
Well, how about we try to get as much of the release team there as possible, and we make
Discuss that.
The part of what we want to do in that meeting is sorting that out.
Right.
Because if we have an agenda, if we want to start formalizing this stuff, maybe we need to have some more meetings over the next little while we work this out.
Yep. In fact, maybe an issue on that. Let's just agree what time we meet. We can put on the release agenda, and then it'll get pulled straight into the meeting. Would be good.
Okay, let me see. Yeah. Okay. Since I deleted it, I don't know what it was on the calendar before, but I will just add it in back as Node.js release. Release team meeting.
Sounds good.
I think my voice is done.
This is the perfect time for you to,
So Gibson, you'll open an issue.
Yep, sure.
Basically saying, hey, here's some of the issues we need to discuss, and we've scheduled it for the 5th.
Yeah.
And I'll move it to the 5th instead of Sunday like I scheduled it. Okay.
Thank you both for finding the time today and helping with this. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys later.
All right. Cheers.
Okay. Bye.